kill me. You can't even kill yourself.
To walk night walks, to visit me as a kid, or to comfort me when my father was murdered, and I thought that I knew that I was alone in this world.
You were never...
Yes, I was! And you let me believe it.
You don't think God knows you tried to kill yourself?
God forgive me. No. I suffered willingly. I gave my sweat and blood and skin without complaint because I too believed I was God's soldier. Well, not anymore. I am what I do in the dark now.
Wake up and smell the coffee, Mr. LaRusso.
Extreme situations require extreme measures.
Yeah, just play about it.
Yo, what is guys, welcome back to Cobra Kai Karate, welcome back to brand new video, and I played some clips in the beginning of this video just to show what Daredevil used to be and what I loved from it. And this video, this review is not going to be necessarily negative per se, but it is going to show what Daredevil used to be, what the, I guess you could say, hype or expectation was for this show to follow and live up to that, and why it was just not there. Now, with that being said, it was good television. I think it was a good season overall, you could say. I think it was a good television. It was probably the best show we've seen from Disney outside of Loki, and yeah, so I think there is a lot to give credit here, and we're going to get into that. But with that being said, when you're following off a show that we've not seen for how long, 5 years, 6 years, you really need to put something special out there, and this just was not special. It had a lot of great moments, mostly solid moments, not a lot of lowlights, really not really any lowlights at all besides a couple, but that's just not enough. So we're going to get into that. Before we even get to that, I do want to give context to what was so good about the Daredevil show overall, and I do plan to review the whole entire show separately, but I do just want to talk about the things that I loved from the show. And for people that agree with me or understand with me or are frustrated, you guys probably agree of what we loved from the show. From the TV show, it was cinematic. It was had everything, the fight scenes, the cinematography, it was amazing, and all the greatest fight scenes, all the greatest, awesomeness, everything you want from a Daredevil superhero lower ground show. But what made this show even greater than that is it was cinema. It had things you've seen from shows like, you could say, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Sopranos, Game of Thrones, anything you want to put in there that people say is the greatest TV shows of all time. It's multiple Emmys, where it has the taste of people that really love the art of movies and shows. It has that, and it has it like that, like Marvel has ever done. As much as I love Logan and movies like that, and even the Punisher television show, which I also love, what Daredevil did was just completely separate. I think this show has nothing to do with Marvel, has nothing to do with universes, has nothing to do with any of that. In my opinion, I don't think the show is even necessarily a superhero show. I think it's so much bigger than that, because you follow Matt's character and they explore dark themes. There's these slow scenes where you just dwell in the characters, dwell in the arcs, and it slowly grows in one of the best compelling arcs I've ever seen brought on television with Matt Murdock. And the side characters uprise the story and main characters like no one else. Karen Page's arc, you go to Foggy, you go to Frank Castle in season 2. Kingpin as being one of the best villains, one of the best acted villains, one of the best intimidating, and one of the best you could just say villain in overall with a lot of character depth. And there's so much more than that it explores. And the cinematography was the best I ever seen in Marvel or any superhero thing. I think it's better than Dark Knight. I think the acting is the best I ever seen in a Marvel, or you could even say superhero project. And I think it is one of the best things we ever seen in Marvel, in superhero, and in just film and TV show in general. And season 3 ended beautifully. You guys know season 3 was the best season by far, and it was so good, especially the ending. The last episode's a 10 out of 10 episode, and in the last couple of moments, everything was going good. But then Netflix shuts it down, and we don't get Daredevil, and it's awful. I hated it, and I think there's so much more story to tell. But some part of me was kind of happy they did not try to force Matt Murdock into a big universe and keep dragging on the seasons. Some part of me was happy, but I was super upset when they ended that show, especially after season 3. We don't get nothing for it for a long time. It wasn't until 2021 where we see him in No Way Home, and then we see him in spin-offs like She-Hulk and also Echo, and it just seems like they're teasing him, and it doesn't really feel like he's really getting his shine, and it doesn't really seem like the character that we know. then we get announced this TV show. And at first, we're all concerned, like always, because it's Marvel and they just like to do dumb stuff nowadays. But then we get to see the photos. We get to hear that Daredevil's going to be in it. Well, no crap. I meant to say Punisher's going to be in it. Karen Page is going to be in it. Foggy's going to be in it. They're bringing back all the characters, and it's going to explore dark themes. And you know, from the trailers, from the villains, being born again, how great that comic was, and how a story of him collapsing and actually slowly turning back to the suit, how emotional that could be. And you know, I always said this in my reviews for the episodes, Daredevil Reborn Again wasn't necessarily a TV show that had issues where it was like it's dragging out the story, because I think the show's idea is so good. I don't think it's like that. I think there's actually so much story to tell with Matt Murdock and so much potential with the show. I just think they're not reaching the potential because they rather settle for cliche moments that, you know, maybe appeal to more broader general fans of the MCU or Disney Plus, but they don't want to dwell in any emotion or any scene, and that's the main thing. So we're going to get right into the entire show. Now that we put my expectations for the show to be on par and maybe even be better than the show, because that's what, maybe my expectations was too high. I get that. That's kind of my fault, but that's kind of where I was. It was going to be just as good, or it's going to be on par with it. It's going to keep continuing that cinema vibe to Marvel and keep it going. That was what I thought. So we get to episode 1. And one of the biggest issues with the show is its fundamental opening. And before I say anything, like I said, I think the opening scene's awesome. It's a really good scene. It's just where it's being placed in, because obviously Foggy dies. And this is a colossal mistake, because we don't see these characters for 6 years. And you open the scene, you have one get murdered, you do a year time jump, and the other one leaves till the finale episode. That right there is a big problem. So you kill a main character in the opening. I don't like that, because what you're doing here is, if you want to kill the main character, for that to be the reason for Matt Murdock to quit being the Daredevil, to fall down and him slowly get reborn again into what's right, that's a compelling story. You can kill Foggy. It's not like you can't kill main characters at times, but it has to be done right. At least have an episode or two with these characters of seeing them live and doing something, and seeing Kingpin's rise in politics instead of just rushing them right to the office like they did in the first episode. That stuff would have been a lot more compelling, and to actually see Matt Murdock feel the emotions of regret and guilt and of literally going to kill a man. They don't do that. They go to a year time jump, and it's the opening scene, and I just hate that. And what I hate even more is that they literally, to your face, disrespect you as an audience when they just throw these brand new characters in there. You get this cop, Kershey, who just happens to see him right there, and this other guy. And then you do a year time jump, and now Kershey's just like his butt buddy, and they know each other. You can't just do that. You can't just have his identity get revealed, and now you jump a year later. Now these are new characters. And these side characters, I'm sorry, throughout the entire show, the side characters are awful. They are not compelling at all. They have no arcs. What's Hershey's arc, or Hershey's? What's Heather's arc? What is that one girl lawyer's arc? What about the one guy that helps Kingpin, the guy who's always glazing him? Where are their arcs? What about the knockoff Wesley? Bro, they have no arcs. They're not compelling at all. They're just there to be the voice of reason or the voice of non-reason inside Matt's ear. And that only adds to Matt's character, not their individual self. That's not how you write a good side character. And I just hate the time jump in general, because we skip all the emotion. Like I said before, it would dwell in emotion. It would sit in emotions, like in season 3, the opening, where he almost died from the Defenders, and here he is, losing his religion and basically trying to he basically tried to kill himself. And they explore a lot of dark themes there. Not here. You do the darkest thing that ever happened to him, and you skip in a time jump and just throw him back in good La La Land where he's all happy. And what makes it worse is exactly that. For episodes, he doesn't even mention Foggy, and it doesn't seem like it even happened. And we don't get to see any Karen. Karen's gone in San Francisco all the way across the country for the entire season, when she's been one of the best acting, written characters in Marvel history. So that was what my main frustration is. Sorry that I kind of ripped it there. That is the big fundamental problem with the show, is it tries to rip you away from the past and throw you into the new. It should have been a transition, or it should have just been stuck in with the old, which was working overall. And a part of the show's issue is I do not know why Kevin Feige did not just get the original writers and creators to do the show. I don't know if he just didn't like the idea of it being slower pacing and he wants to be more faster pacing to keep the general audience pleased. But there was like 3 different writers in the show. Some got fired and they had to reshoot a lot of it, and it was just a big mess. That's part of the problem. The show has no direction. It doesn't really know where it's going. It's just, it's solid television. They do cool stuff, but they don't actually do anything spectacular or cinematic or cinema in general. So the first episode, Matt Murdock, he gets to see Kingpin become the mayor, which I think was way too rushed, but I did like the layers they showed of Kingpin's character, and kind of show him a little bit more layers to himself before he turns completely evil at the end. I thought they wrote Matt's character very well throughout the show. They wrote Kingpin's character very well, Vanessa very well, and I think those main 3 core characters of part of the show were done very, very well. You get to episode 2, and it was really not that interesting. It was not like unraveling a story like the first one, which was somewhat interesting about Kingpin's rise to politics, even though it was kind of rushed. This episode just a whole episode about him trying to figure out the whole White Tiger stuff, which to me wasn't that interesting. And then you get to episode 3, it's a whole courthouse drama, which is fine, but I think you just completely take it out of the atmosphere. And it would have been fine if Hector was the main character, but you kill him right after. So, well, right at the end of the episode. So that's partially the issue. You spend a whole episode building up this character and his family, and he gets murdered in the first, and right at the end. So it's like you used him to set up a whole nother thing. If you're gonna do that, fine, but why make us watch a whole episode of that? Because here's the thing: watching that in real time wasn't that bad because it was a fun courthouse drama, and at the time you thought Hector was gonna be a big character. But rewatching the show, which I partially did. When you watch that episode, it seemed like a big waste of time because this character's just going to get murdered. Why do we have to unravel this guy's arc when he's just going to get murdered and then get not mentioned for episodes? Like, there's episodes where it doesn't seem like it even happened until a couple other moments. But it does push Matt Murdock more into his vigilante side and finding out about the corrupt cops that Kingpin is heading out. Episode 4 also was not that great of an episode, as far as, if you want to talk. It was a solid episode, but it wasn't great. Because the whole episode is about Kingpin trying to do some construction thing and, listening to kids sing, and it just seemed like filler there. And then it's just Matt Murdock trying to find someone, this bullet, and, investigating and stuff. And, can I just say I really do not like that from episode 1 to episode 8 before the finale, this guy who's yapping about how he I don't even know what it was. He stole some candy or chocolate or some popcorn, and now he's being a complete jerk to Matt Murdock, like making fun of him because he's blind, refusing the best help, and they present him as such an asshole. Then 2 seconds later, they try to make him like some sort of like social message about not getting a job or something, or I don't even know. It's like, okay, so clearly whoever was writing this was trying to put some like social message in there. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but why would you make this guy an asshole, and why does this guy have more screen time than Karen Page and Foggy Nelson and Frank Castle from episode 1 through 8? Is it just me? I don't know. But you get to the stuff which really makes this show, you think it's not like that, because when you get to the end of it, we get the Frank and Matt Murdock scene where they have amazing dialogue, and it was absolutely spectacular, and it was well acted. And this is why I'm like, why are you teasing us with this? Why did you not do this throughout the whole show? And why was this not set up? Because we clearly see Matt Murdock break down over Foggy. Why could we not see him live with his emotions? Why is he not mentioned in episode 1, 2, or 3 at all, or barely at all? And why is, right after this episode, it completely throws away that whole emotion and momentum? Because the scene was great, but you get to episode 5, which was the worst episode, he is just inside a whole entire spin-off episode that has nothing to do with the story. And honestly, if you removed it from the show, you wouldn't even tell a difference going from 4 to 6. That's how horrendous it was. So that's why when I watched that scene and how great it was, how much I love it, when I first watched it, I'm kind of waiting for the show to click into that cinema and dive into the emotions and the dark themes about death, regret, and, you know, being actually reborn. No, because right after that scene, which was spectacular, we get to episode 5, and it was my lowest rated episode. It's a 6.3, I think I gave it, where it's a complete filler episode. Not even one scene added to the story. Like, you could say, like, it could have been the smallest thing, like Matt Murdock slightly does something to make his arc or story move forward. Nothing. The entire episode is about a prison robbery, some St. Patrick's Day special, and then they throw in She-Hulk's or Miss Marvel's like uncle or grandpa. They say, "Hey, look, we're connected! Yay, go watch the TV show." And they had to mention her like 4 different damn times. And we get these Irish people that are straight out of a like Saturday freaking cartoon Power Ranger villain, and it's ridiculous. Like, it really ruins the whole momentum of the theme. They throw away the theme, and I don't know what this episode was even for. And they literally deliberately posted 2 episodes that week because they knew how bad that episode was and how much filler it was, how much it did not for the story. Man, like I had people actually get mad at me when I talked about this for my first review. They're like, "Oh, you're hating." Bro, Disney even knows this episode was bad. They had to post 2 episodes that week. Episode 6 also was not that compelling. Matter of fact, think about it, I don't remember what happened to that episode. It was something about okay, so yeah, they bring in Hector's like daughter, I think. I'm not sure. I think it's a daughter. And she's like trying to push Matt to go after the police system. And, you know, here's the thing with this character. She could have been a cool, interesting character, but they don't go anything with her either. She was the only character that actually had some, you know, ground room of an arc, but they don't do nothing with her because she's in there in that episode 6 after she gets attacked by Muse, which we'll talk about in a little bit. She is just gone for the entire show until one small clip in the final 5 seconds of the show. So it's like, what were you doing there? And then Kersey, he just like leaves for like 3 episodes. I don't know what the hell he went. At this point, why do you even kill Foggy? Why don't you just keep Karen and Foggy together with Matt? Like, why? Like, I don't get it. But episode 6, he goes after Muse, which Muse was a fun, interesting villain, but then you guys kill him off the second he starts getting ground room. The second you start revealing himself, the second you start giving him some potential, you murder him. It was a great fight scene in episode 6, where he gets his suit back on, which we're talking about now in a little bit, and the episode 7 fight scene was very good, and very tense too. But you just kill him off, and that's that. I don't get it. But you get to back to episode 6 when he finally gets the suit back on. This is what really pissed me off. And I know I'm kind of ranting about the negative stuff, but I feel like I have to shed off this stuff. You know, got Snake shed off his skin. You got to get the filth off before you can kind of talk about the clean stuff. When he puts his suit on, he just goes, "F it." Bro, seriously? So the whole idea of being born again to me would have been him being haunted by his suit, being haunted by the Daredevil suit, by him losing all his morals and not knowing what morals is, not knowing what God is, not knowing who he is, because that's how dark what he went through. And him putting that suit on would be a slow process to truly be reborn again, like reborn back to who he is. But no, it's not like that. It's not like the Spider-Man 2 scene where he pulls out the suit and it's cinematic and awesome. No, he just puts the suit on and goes, "F it," and he just starts swinging in the worst CGI swing ever, by the way. Like, I just don't like that. Why don't you guys make this more personal? Make this more emotional. Make this more deep. Like, this is not deep at all. There's like borderline level stuff here. And then you get to episode 8, which I thought was a beautiful episode. A cinematography at its best, because episodes 7, 8, and 9 and 1 were all by the original crew who are working on season 2. The other guys that I don't know what happened there, they had to refilm a lot of stuff, but clearly these guys are a lot better. Because episode 8, you show a lot of good emotions, you show a lot of good arcs, and you have the story grow. We get to see Bullseye and great cinematography, and that great final shot of Matt and Bullseye in the blue and the red, and Matt taking a bullet for Kingpin. And you get to the finale, which if you guys want to talk more about it there, you can go there. The finale was awesome. It is maybe a 9 out of 10 how good it is. It is a fantastic episode with great emotion, great characters, great action, but the ending just feels incomplete. You don't see Bullseye for the whole entire episode until one, maybe 4-second clip. And, you know, it ends with just playing, you know, Radiohead, and it's just like, okay, there you go. But it's like, okay, it feels like this is not complete. The season just felt like it was a huge mess. It's like they had a goal in mind, they did not know how to get there, and they're changing in story as they go along, which is literally what happened, because they refilmed it and rechanged writers multiple times. So this episode is just at borderline level mediocrity. It is just mid at best, and that's just how it is. So I really don't know what else I can do with this. I'm going to give the show, out of 1 out of 10, I'm going to give it a solid. I'm going to give it a 7.5. And that's really being generous. I was thinking about a 7.4 or 3, but I think I would give it a 5 just because of the last 2 episodes. And yeah, if you guys want to see my whole entire graph about the plot, story, episode average, like my episode average is every episode 1 out of 10, average divided by 9. I think it's a 7.1, so that's not really good at all. But you want to see all that right there, there it is. And that's basically my review of this season, which was just not there. I know, I'm really milking my title here. Sorry, I'm trying to be unique. But anyway, that's what I thought. I do think season 2 will be better. I do have hope it could be better, but they really got to get their stuff together. And I'm really worried about the Punisher TV show, because Punisher and Frank Castle is one of my favorite, if not my favorite fictional character. Well, no, Rocky is my favorite fictional character of all time. But Frank is definitely my number 2 or 3. So I'm very excited for that, but I'm also very worried because his dialogue seemed a little too on the nose, and I really worried how they're going to explore the emotions. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, that's my review. Let me know what you guys thought about Daredevil Born Again in the comments down below. We'll see you guys next time. Always remember, extreme measures, extreme measures. Peace out.